Hello there! This month is going to be Gungan month, and so we're going to look at all things Gungan. And where else to start with all things Gungan than Jar Jar Binks? Jar Jar Binks was a male Gungan, raised in the city of Gunga on the planet of Naboo. He lived there for approximately 20 years before he was eventually banished just before the events of the Phantom Menace for crashing a Hay-Blibber submarine. During this time, the Trade Federation was attempting to invade Naboo. Jar Jar Binks was out foraging for food when he stumbled across OOM-9, the battle droid's invasion force. Panicking, he ended up bumping into the Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn, and Qui-Gon Jinn saved his life. He then felt he owed Qui-Gon Jinn a life debt, much to the annoyance of both Qui-Gon Jinn and his Padawan Obi-Wan Kenobi. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan had been sent to Naboo in an attempt to try and resolve the crisis between the Naboo and the Trade Federation. They therefore decided that they needed to contact Queen Padme Amidala, who was in the capital Theed. They had no way of reaching her, however, and so decided they needed to get to the city of Theed. Jar Jar Binks, despite fearing for his life, agreed to take them there. This, however, required Jar Jar, Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon to travel back to, in Jar Jar's case, the city of Gunga, the place where Jar Jar had been banished from. Upon his arrival, he was arrested by his old friend Tarpals, who brought Jar Jar and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon before Boss Nass. Jar Jar faced punishment for returning unlawfully, however, Qui-Gon managed to convince, with maybe a little help from a Jedi mind trick, Boss Nass, that he needed a guide to get to the city of Theed. Boss Nass therefore let Jar Jar go with Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, providing them with a bongo submarine so they could travel through the planet's core to Theed. After escaping both a OP sea killer and a Colo clawfish in the planet's core, Jar Jar and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon eventually did make it to Theed, only to discover that it had already been taken by the Trade Federation forces. Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan managed to free Queen Amidala and several of her entourage, and with Jar Jar Binks, they were forced to flee the planet aboard the Naboo Royal Starship. Despite managing to escape the Trade Federation's naval blockade, the starship sustained damage to the hyperdrive, and they were forced to land on the planet of Tatooine. The two Jedi, Queen Amidala and Jar Jar, disembarked from the cruiser when they had landed, in order to try and obtain parts. They tried to buy the parts from a Toydarian dealer named Watto, but Watto refused to accept the Republic credits that they were trying to pay with. While returning to their starship, Jar Jar was confronted by a local Dug pod racer named Sebulba. A local human boy named Anakin Skywalker defended Jar Jar and offered the Gungan, the two Jedi, and Queen Amidala a place to shelter as there was a sandstorm incoming. It turned out that Anakin and his mother Shmi were both slaves for Watto. Qui-Gon made a deal with Watto to sell him the parts and free Anakin if Anakin won a local upcoming pod racing event, the Boon to Eve Classic. Qui-Gon also discovered that Anakin was Force sensitive and decided that he wanted to train him as a Jedi. Anakin managed to win the race, and so the Royal Starship received its repairs, and Jar Jar, along with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Qui-Gon Jinn, Anakin Skywalker, Queen Amidala and some of her entourage, travelled to Coruscant, where the Queen would try and get the support of the Senate to help her people. Unfortunately, her attempt failed, and so she turned to the Gungans, and with the help of Jar Jar Binks, she managed to convince the Gungans to fight as her allies in a battle against the droid army of the Trade Federation. Because of his role in uniting the Naboo and the Gungans, Boss Nass promoted Jar Jar Binks to the position of Bombard General during the Battle of Naboo. Jar Jar led his forces against the Federation's army at the Great Grass Plains. The droid army overwhelmed Jar Jar's forces and forced them to surrender. However, just as defeat seemed imminent, Anakin Skywalker destroyed the droid control ship orbiting Naboo, disabling the Federation's droid forces on the planet, and therefore the Gungans and Queen Amidala had secured victory for their planet. 10 years after the Naboo crisis, Jar Jar Binks had ascended to the position of representative in the Naboo delegation to the Galactic Senate. Formerly Queen Amidala, now Senator, was forced into hiding after a series of assassination attempts on her life on Coruscant. At her request, Jar Jar agreed to stand in for her in the Senate, basically becoming a temporary senator for Naboo. However, he was easily manipulated by more experienced politicians, and feeling it was his duty to do so, he suggested that the Senate give the now Supreme Chancellor Palpatine the emergency powers required to create the Grand Army of the Republic. The motion passed, and soon afterwards, the first Battle of Geonosis happened and the Clone Wars began. Jar Jar went on to participate in multiple diplomatic missions during the course of the Clone Wars. As we are all aware, Palpatine rose to power, becoming Emperor, the Republic was reordered into an Empire, and we're not really sure what happened to Jar Jar in the following 20 years where the Empire was in power. However, what we do know is that because of his role in the rise of the Empire, Jar Jar was once again exiled by his own people. After the Battle of Endor and the rise of the New Republic, he performed as a street performer, a clown, on Theed. He was popular with the children, but their parents remembered his role in the rise of the Galactic Empire. Many Gungan and Naboo adults refused to speak to him, or even say his name. Jar Jar entertained the children through his clumsy antics, the likes of which we are all very familiar with. He befriended a refugee boy named Mappo, and agreed that he would teach Mappo how to be a clown. And that's basically Jar Jar's story, the rise and fall of Jar Jar Binks. Now there are a couple other things about Jar Jar that I've not mentioned yet, a couple fun facts which I'll get onto in another video in Gungan July, but for now that's about it. Remember to comment down below anything that you want to tell me, I suppose, within reason, but specifically about Gungans or Jar Jar or whatever. Remember to like the video, subscribe to the channel, it's completely free and it would mean a lot, and watch any of the other videos that I've made. There's a great one in the bottom left right now. YouTube has picked it especially for you. Excellent video. Do me a favour, click it and it would help me out as well. Thanks for watching. Bye!